All right, guys, welcome in to another Buzz Beat. This is Richie. I'm joined by Brian today. We are doing a little bit of a different format for this episode, and there is a video component to this. If you would like to subscribe to BuzzBeat Plus, we will put that out as well. You can listen to the audio version, which you're listening to right now, but there is a video component. We're going to break down some film with Scoot Henderson. It's Brian's preferred number two pick. It's my preferred number two pick. And we're going to focus mostly on his pick and roll stuff and get into about 12 different clips here out of the pick and roll and break them down clip by clip. What do we see that is good? What do we see that he could have done different? Maybe even look at the defense as well. So we're going to go ahead and cue this up and pull up the first video for us to watch. Now, as you guys are looking on the screen here, we're going to walk you through it. We might have to pause it. We might have to rewind it for you guys to look at. So this first clip that we're looking at right here is what I would classify, or the first four clips, actually, this pick and roll, downhill, attacking minded of Scoot Henderson here.
Mm-hmm.
And the one thing that I did notice, Brian, and obviously you've watched this way more than I have, is the G League Ignite really does a good job of trying to keep the spacing and trying to make sure that Scoot Henderson has enough room and space to get downhill. Now, you're looking right now and you're not really seeing a 5 out because there are a couple people inside the 3-point line, but for the purpose of this, that's what they're trying to go for here. And then obviously he has the little drag screen set up top of the key. So I'm gonna go ahead and play here. The screen is set, and first thing that I noticed that the screeners man went under, and then the screeners man, shows and recover. Scoot's man went under, and Scoot's attack mindedness, his explosiveness, he gets all the way to the rim with no resistance and finishes with his offhand there. And that's one thing that it really just stands out with Scoot is just his ability to change speed, his ability to get downhill. And we talked about this prior, but I don't know if this is the best coverage here by that guy right there.
It's certainly not.
Yeah, stop
Yeah,
Scoot.
no, but yeah. Like you said, Richie, a lot like this is pretty standard. Spread 1-5 pick and roll. Marjon. This is, by the way, this is from the 2021-2022 season. So
Okay.
this is Scoot's first year with the Ignite, and that's actually number 14, the guy who starts in the lane and then sort of like shakes up a little bit. That's Marjon Beauchamp now with the Milwaukee Bucks. But yeah, you'll see the defender from Mexico City. Like it looks almost in between coverages. Like he sort of like lunges like it's a show.
Yeah.
But the screen, the on ball defender takes the big man like it's a switch. And I mean, I guess it just goes to show you, like, Scoot has the little like left-handed hang dribble, and then boom, he's at the rim. That's pretty easy. It does. The one thing I would say is, like, teams are going to switch. The goal of switching, among other things, is to keep the ball in front, right? Try to keep it out of the lane, keep the ball just moving around the perimeter. And then, but you see here with Scoot's speed, the controlled tempo, the handle, that, like, if there is a breakdown, he's going to punch the paint. Like, he has the handle and the sort of like the downhill driving instincts and the speed to constantly be pressuring the defense. So when there is a breakdown there, which that's what this is, he can really, really take advantage of it. So if you gamble, basically, if guys are at the level guarding pick and roll, or to switch, like, those coverages have to be tight. Because if not, he's gonna turn the corner and get downhill. Any other thoughts on this clip before we move on to the next one?
The big man, I'm just pausing it here, just randomly.
Yeah.
Doing a good job of sealing.
Yep.
And
Yep.
if I noticed this right, does he jump off the off leg here?
Let's see. Yeah, it
This
does look
looks a
like
little
he
awkward.
did. Yeah, it does look like he did a little bit of the, like, you
Switch
know,
midair.
yeah, Rashad McCants weird leg leaping here. It's tough to tell from this angle.
Yeah.
He was just almost too wide open. like that is one of the least contested half court layups you'll see Scoot have across 2 seasons of professional basketball with the Ignite. And it's probably worth noting too that, like, G League Ignite did a nice job spacing stuff around around Scoot, but that stuff did get a little bit more congested this season. Like, not quite as much shooting without Beauchamp and Hardy, Jaden Hardy around the perimeter this season. A lot of John Jenkins and Mojave King sort of like being relied upon to be the off ball floor spacers.
So you said this was from a couple years ago,
This
correct?
is from two. Yeah, this is the 2020. This is Scoot's first year. This is 17, 18-year-old Scoot Henderson in this clip.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right, we'll get to the next clip here, clip number 2. Now, this grainy footage looks like it's from 5 years ago.
Yeah, yes. So I will say, like, this clip too is from Scoot's first season with Ignite. They're against the Motor City Cruise here, and I will say, like, unfortunately, ESPN Plus does this thing because like they do G League games, and unfortunately, if you don't get to those games within 3 months, they get pulled off of ESPN Plus. So there's like no way to go back. There's not like a great way after that to go get G League footage. So this is definitely from last summer when I recorded this, and just like you're just scrounging YouTube for full games, like,
Right.
and you just got to do the best of what you got. So apologies, this is not amazing video quality, but yeah, this is Scoot Henderson. We swear this is not a mixtape from 2006 that he's playing in. This is a video from within the last 18 months. We promise.
Yeah, and I will say that I'm just kidding, but most of these clips are very good quality. But when I saw this one, I was like,
no, there was a part going when we were preparing for this where I was like, oh man, the video's not looking good on some of these. Like, should we just call this off? But no, I think it's still worth for people who are viewing at this, we appreciate your patience looking at this Doppler radar that is the video quality of this basketball game here. But we think with our narration we can walk you through it. But yeah, on this clip here, Ignite's going to start off. It's like very vanilla, sort of like weave. There's like nothing's really happening right until this play starts with Scoot like getting the ball here, kind of in the left slot. And you're going to get another, spread ball screen. And yeah, going right this time as opposed to going left. Now the coverage is different on this play though, right, Richie? Like as opposed to that like bizarre hedge switch from the first clip with Mexico City, you've got Motor City here in a drop. Now also going under, and that's no real surprise. Like if you're thinking about how you're going to cover Scoot Henderson, especially 2 seasons ago.
It almost looks like a zone, Brian. I mean, I know it's not, but it almost looks like
I mean, they're really packed in. Yeah, they switch up the line on this handoff with Scoot, and then they're into the drop with help at the. Now it is also interesting too. You'll see, I believe that's Jaden Hardy spaced to the right wing, one pass away. So maybe the defender, off ball defender there is a little bit more concerned with the kick out to a guy like Hardy, who's a big time scorer, big time shooter, blah blah blah. But you probably would like that guy at the elbow to be another half step in to help on Scoot. Although they do have 2 guys committed to him in the pick and roll here. Like there's the drop. No one's really paying much attention to the roller, and the guy guarding the screen went under. So, it's not like there's not great defense on this play, but you do see, I think this is one of those possessions where Scoot's strength in body control, which is something that he's got to work on. We've talked about that on the pod previously, but this is a pretty nice finish through contact, getting downhill, getting into the restricted area, and then finishing through some length at the rim there. Anything that jumps out to you?
No, you said a lot of what my notes were with the weave action. He's coming off this pitch here off the wing and just getting downhill, and he does attract like 3-4 defenders around him, and he still gets off the shot fairly easily. Like something subtle that I notice, I mean, maybe it's not subtle, but something that I noticed here on this particular play, when he rises up off the floor, he kind of lowers and leans his body into that defender right there. Doesn't, create a lot of contact, but he definitely creates enough space for him to get off the shot and protect himself at the rim. So, I think when you think of Scoot Henderson, you think of like just this athletic body, but you also got to think of the craft that comes along with this drive here. So that's what I do like. It's something subtle. He lowers his left shoulder into the defender to create that type of space. The
one other thing I would say, just sort of bouncing off of what you were just saying, Richie, is like, Scoot I think he's a really good finisher at the rim. Like he's got to do some work there. in terms of, finishing off 2 feet, finishing through contact. But he is not just like a pure athlete finisher. Like he's got like a finishing package and some craft to his game, in the restricted area. And I think we see his touch and his skill in a bunch of different contexts. The one thing I would say, and you actually have it frozen at a good spot here too, like as Scoot starts to drive, he doesn't get like, I've seen him get lower to the ground on some drives, but just keep an eye on like his shins and his ankles here. His ability to get low, this is maybe not the best example, but like when you're wondering, okay, how does he get into that gap and get into that lane and then get to the front of the rim? Part of it is his ability to, certainly he's fast and he's constantly pressuring the defense with his speed, but his ability to get low allows him to also get into some of these windows. And yeah, there's just a lot of ways to create advantage. And so Scoot is just a very functional athlete and driver at the primary guard position.
All right, we'll play this one more time through before we
Yeah.
get to clip number 3. All right, there he is, leans in. All right, so clip number 3 is coming up here. This is awesome quality here against.
Yeah.
Is this Birmingham? I'm just reading.
Yeah,
the
Birmingham, the squadron of Birmingham.
Okay. Another possession, like I mentioned before, where the Ignite do a good job of just creating space. This is more of like a 4-out, 1-in. And Scoot receives a screen from a teammate out of the corner. And let's see here. Let's play it. Kind of slips, or I don't know, like a ghost screen almost.
Yeah.
There. And now Scoot is dealing with 2 players on him right now, just for a short period of time. Again, he turns the corner and is converged by defenders, like on the previous clip. He turns the corner and everyone converges, and then he adjusts midair. I remember watching this, and he hangs in the air as long as he can and finishes on the other side. And I do believe this is an and 1.
It was.
Yes.
I think he missed the free throw, but yes, this was an and 1 possession here for
And
Scoot.
just as important, Brian, check the time and the score.
It was a game winner. Yeah.
There it is. So
he was awesome in this. This is actually the most recent Scoot game I watched, and he was awesome in this game against the Birmingham squadron. He was actually really good in both games against Birmingham this season. But yeah, you see, like they start this possession out, and it's those sort of, you mentioned it, but it's sort of like it's 2 straight like guard to guard ghost screens. The first one's from Mojave King, who's another 2023 draft prospect. And then it's John Jenkins that comes through.
John Jenkins.
I know, but what was he, a Hawks legend? I think, if I want to. But yeah, so the first screen, the first ghost action gets switched, and my guy Darion Sebron from NC State is the first guy that switches out. He was also very good in this game. But when Jenkins comes in on that second ghost screen, his defender just stays with the shooter. And so once again, this is, a sort of a good way to see, like, when there is a breakdown or a miscommunication, and those are going to be less likely to happen, obviously, on the NBA as opposed to the G League, but like he's going to take advantage of it. And so I think there's been some, discussion about like, oh, does he settle too much for pull-ups? Like he doesn't, he's not looking to get downhill. Like when it's there, he's absolutely going to take it. And I think his pull-up volume sort of strikes me more as a guy that was trying to work on that, as opposed to like his ability to actually get downhill and get into the paint and make plays there, which I think he's very good at doing. And just, you can see how quickly he gets to the second line of defense. Like there's a breakdown on the perimeter and then boom, he's at the rim. And one of the other things I do sort of want to point out with this, because it's something you see with Scoot when he's coming downhill, if you can kind of get to maybe pause it right before he's about to turn the corner, like pause it right here. And now when he starts to go downhill, you're going to see there is a defender already, like low man defender that's in decent help position. Now he's got the center, Eric, I think it's Eric Mika, is in the dunker spot on the strong side there. But there's a help defender at the paint, and that guy's going to step up. But Scoot does this nice ability of like sort of change when he gathers. He almost like he looks like he's sort of heading in for a left finish. He gathers, he gets the ball to his right hand. And that kind of, I don't know, gets him to the other side of the rim and allows him to, as opposed to sort of going straight at the guy, to sort of change directions a little bit and get to a different part of the rim. And he sort of does that fluidly with his gather. And he does that like that's not like a one-off. That's something you'll see
Yes.
within his film. And there's actually in another clip, and this will actually it might be the next clip,
Might be the
but
next one. Yes.
we'll
Yes.
highlight that as well. But just yeah, the fluidity, the downhill drive, and like if we're talking about this specifically from Charlotte's standpoint, like yeah, I think we've talked a lot. You and I have probably tweeted about this some as well. I know I've put out some clips on this, but like when you're thinking about like what a Scoot LaMelo backcourt could look like, I know there are a lot of people that don't want the ball taken out of LaMelo's hands, but you got to remember just how good of an off-ball player LaMelo is, and how good he has been as a ghost screener, playing off of and throughout his career. Devontae Graham, Malik Monk, Terry Rozier, Miles Bridges, Gordon Hayward, like you name it. And like, anyways, this is the kind of stuff you would probably see between those two guys taking turns, right? Like it would be on some possessions, it'd be, or maybe even in the middle of a possession, you'd see those guys late game. Can't you imagine it? Like, LaMelo ghost screen for Scoot. He kicks it out to LaMelo. Immediately, Scoot Henderson chases it. He's going to go after and try to follow LaMelo would set a ghost screen for him, and he's going to slip out and try to get one of those guys some advantage or going downhill or tilt the defense. And who knows if you draw help somehow, well then kick it out to PJ for a three. But so anyways, that's one of those things. The other parts of this play, in terms of like being Hornets centric, that stuck out to me. Like it's just something you're going to see Scoot do a lot at the next level, and if he and LaMelo are playing together, it's something that I would imagine those guys would be doing with one another frequently, in particular in some like late game scenarios.
It's funny you mentioned like the gathers, and the next clip has it, but also I feel
Yeah.
like a couple more clips have it. It kind of reminds me of Kyrie in terms of how he
Yeah.
can gather the
Yeah.
ball low off the ground and kind of do that little. It's almost like a hook where he kind of like you said, brings it to the opposite side. So we'll go ahead and get into the next clip here, and this is the final clip of the pick and roll downhill category, and this one happens to be against Met 92 against another pretty good player.
While you're doing that, probably should just say like we planned on doing this this video pod before. Let's just pause it there. But yeah, good timing doing this. Richie with a Scoot Henderson workout that it took place over the weekend on Sunday in Charlotte, and credible reports out of ESPN this week of from John Gavoni that workout went very well, and is perhaps having some influence over what the Hornets draft process is at 2, Scoot versus Miller. And who knows, maybe that's flip things in Scoot's direction here. Speaking of flips, like you said, this was a nice flip screen here by F.A. Abogidi. And, he hits Tremont Waters here. I think the defense by Wembanyama is pretty interesting because, like, this goes to show you, like, how special Wemby is because, like, he's well below the screen. Like, he's in a drop.
Right.
But with his length, it doesn't feel like it, right? Like Wembanyama is just like right there. It's crazy how much he can like just keep the ball in front. Very, very, very special defender. And I should say, like, I watched this live. This is from the first, exhibition game that these two guys played against one another out in Vegas. I was cackling when he did this thing live because you also just see like the live ball creativity of Scoot, like how dangerous he can be in chaos. Like it's weird coverage. He's able to, go between the, crossover, go between the legs to create the separation with Tremont Waters, who's scrambling to get back to him. And all of a sudden, he turns the corner. And I think there's a lot of people that would say, like, I don't want to challenge Victor Wembanyama, but Scoot was getting after it in this game. You could tell, like, he wanted a piece of Wemby. This was not the first, nor was it the only time these guys would sort of like, duel in these sort of like compressed sequences against one another. But yeah, he looks to get a piece of the rim. He does a wonderful job going at Wembanyama, this incredible, rim protecting prospect. And again, as you and I were just talking about a minute ago, Richie, you see that very subtle gather move.
Yep.
This time going right to left, and then he finishes the play
Inside
with
hand.
just that incredible extension and reach on the inside hand finish, which shields off the contest from Wembanyama. Like this is an S tier type, I think, like live ball creation and finish from from Scoot. Like, I just don't think it really gets much better than this. Just the handle, the breakdown moves, and then the challenge and just beautiful and functional finish at the rim there by Henderson.
Yeah, and one of the the interesting things about this handle here, it's almost like it's obviously just instincts, but if he would have went behind his backs, right there, he realizes Tremont Water is right there, so he has to
Yeah.
come between his legs, and that gets him momentum going downhill here. Like you said, challenging Victor here is no small
Yeah.
task, and he has to go inside hand, opposite side, and that was the biggest thing that I loved about this. Is
Ridiculous.
just the instincts, but also, like you said, challenging Wembanyama there, who's obviously trying to block him in this situation. So
Yeah.
I did not watch this game, but watching, there's a couple of clips with G League Ignite
It
and 92 that we've got queued up here. So
this was an amazing game. Between both those guys played incredibly well in the first game out in Vegas before Scoot got hurt.
all right, we're going to transition over to his pull-up game out of the pick and roll. And I don't really have the numbers in front of me. I don't know how good he was in the mid-range, but I do love his form in all of these clips that we're going to show. And so the first one here, let's see here. Scoot kind of comes in late to the picture here. Does a good job of manipulating the defender and working with the screener here. And the thing about Scoot is the like with his explosion, with his athleticism, he does a very good job of leveraging that in the sense that the defenders realize that he is very aggressive and attack minded. And if he can stop on the dime like he does here at the elbow, and I believe that's Taco Fall, if I'm not
It
mistaken.
is. Yep.
Um,
Yeah. Hard guy
and
to miss.
yeah, he's expectedly here in a drop. He stops on a dime, stops at the elbow, rises for this 15, 16 footer smooth. And like I said, I don't have the mid-range numbers in front of me, but just the threat of his athleticism and the speed, and then to slow down right there and rise up in the mid-range, it's going to be very powerful, pick your poison type of thing when you are defending Scoot Henderson. So that's kind of the first thing that kind of caught my eye with this play.
Yeah, this is pretty simple stuff.
Right.
This is from his 2 seasons ago. This is the next gen game at the All Star game. Yeah, I believe up in Cleveland. I think, yeah, Cleveland. And yeah, just see what I think sticks out to me. It's pretty simple stuff, but just how smoothly and quickly Scoot gets from coming off the screen to settling into rhythm up for that jump shot right at the elbow. It's just a very clean, like the energy transfer is really, really good. Live dribble, boom. He creates a bunch of space. It's a good screen. Look how open he's able to get, like in between the rear view contest and the drop. Taco Fall, 7-6 Taco Fall in the drop coverage there. Like he does a nice job getting to his spot and rhythming up for his jumper. I mean, this is like I think we've thrown out a lot of different comps for Scoot Henderson the last couple of weeks. I have seen the Chris Paul comp before, and that one makes me laugh because that one seems like probably like the least believable one. Although Chris was a really good athlete before,
He likes that elbow. He
before
likes
his
that
knee
elbow.
injury. But yeah, that's why. This is why those people have come up with the Paul comps. I think it's like this, like his mid-range game, and especially like the pick and roll elbow jumper versus drop, like that's like this is like the CP shot, the archetypal CP shot. So and yeah, he was 49%
Okay.
on pull-up twos during his first year with Ignite, and I can't remember what the number. I actually don't have numbers pulled up for this past season, his second year, but he was in like the 99th percentile in terms of pull up mid-range shooting with Ignite as well. So yeah, with both volume and efficiency from the mid-range, he was quite good over 2 seasons now with Ignite.
All right, here is the second clip. And one common theme that I'm noticing, just the ability to change speed, the ability to change direction, the ability to stop on a dime and rise up, and obviously create problems for the defense in that situation. And here, semi-transition, he's not really like pushing it that hard, but he also does a lot of rejecting of the ball screens. That's what I noticed a lot in these clips. And as you see here, he goes behind his back and he almost runs into his own
Yeah.
teammate there, keeps the control of the ball just enough not to lose it. And he also sees enough space on the right side here to go up. And there's Victor lurking in the painted area. And it almost looks, when you watch this, as if he's getting ready to go up for a layup here. I've got it paused.
Mhm.
But with the second time in this possession, he stops and rises. What is this, like a 4-footer, 3-footer? Like
So sick.
it falls away. So I think
Yeah.
that he does a good job of body control in a couple of different areas, running into his teammate, but also right then and there when he rises up for that 3-4 footer. So he's got to do that, because I feel like if he took both of those guys on, I think Victor probably would have swatted that out.
Probably. Victor is a very special rim protector, and obviously a bit of an advantage when it comes to the reach and the length. But yeah, this for me is another one of like Scoot's like best highlight plays from this past season. You can see it down the stretch. A couple minutes left to go in the game when he's able to bust this thing out. When he was really going at Wembanyama. It should be mentioned too. The guy guarding on the ball here is Aaron Henry, who's pretty good perimeter defender.
Is that
In
Michigan State?
prospect. Yeah, from Michigan
Okay.
State, a guy that I thought would actually make it in the NBA. It hasn't quite happened, but very good defender in college. And yeah, Scoot, makes him look pretty silly here. And then the deceleration, man,
Right.
the body control to be able to do that, the balance, the coordination to do that, not travel, to also hit those guys with the ball fake while doing that to create the separation. Again, just the very, very special blend of his ability to mix tempos, to change speeds, anything to create separation. And then again, you see the shooting touch on that little like push shot finish. That's a tough shot to make too, like fading away and still having to go over Wemby on Vic's second jump. Like that's a big time fit. Like it's a $2 move and also a $2 or $10 move and a $10 finish. Like both of those things are equally impressive in my book.
It looks simple though. Like I think to the
Yeah,
naked eye, it just kind of looks simple. But
yeah. It's it's hard to have two professional defenders, go flying almost out of the picture, in the midst of that. So pretty special stuff, nonetheless.
all right, this is the third clip, and again, the same opponent. Brian, correct me if I'm wrong, but this looks like some Ram action.
Yeah, a little Ram screen the screener action from Aubrey Dawkins for FA Abogidi that time here.
I remember watching this a couple times, and it just feels like there's a lot of confusion on this play with the defenders.
Yeah.
Just a lot going on with the coverage, not switching, and the Met 92 player trying to get back, hedge, recover,
Yeah.
and I think Scoot benefits from this. But this is the one play, and I don't know if you had the same thought about this. Let me go back real quick. Not it's a not it might be a negative, but um, I thought maybe right there he could have taken the three.
Pull up.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, but when he gets inside, it's almost like he's still determining if he wants to get all the way to
Hmm.
the rim. And I feel like he maybe could have. It's hard to tell on the right side how many defenders are kind of in his area. That big is obviously confused and getting back to his man. But I think he just decides, okay, I've got enough space here for this 21
Yeah.
footer, and let me pull up. At that point, it was too late to go back and hit that three.
Yeah, I think all good points on your part. I think long term the hope is that in 2 or 3 years from now that's a step back three, right? That's a pullback three that he's able to, get to with confidence and take that as opposed to look, I think the mid-range is probably always going to be part of his game, which is great.
Right.
And if he ends up being a star, then your star is going to score in the mid-range and like that'll be a part of his game. But the fact that he can pressure the rim like he can pass like he can, and he has certainly shown some he did not shoot a great number on off dribble threes with Ignite this past season, but he will take them and he'll make his fair share too. I do sort of like his patience here though, like waiting out the sort of like hedge or show, however you want to label that coverage, and then still being able to get to a spot, rhythm up, take the midi. But yes, that's a good note that off this Ram, screen the screener action, it really does look like he has that opportunity to take the three, passes it up, but still able to get to, I think a pretty good shot. And I do think it's one of those things here where like context probably does matter. You'll notice the clock about 4 minutes left in the game. So this is with Wembanyama not on the floor. And this is also when like Scoot has been busting these dudes up for 40 minutes basically by this point. So you can understand why there would maybe be some tired legs or a blown coverage or concern with Scoot, because again, he had been kind of just like getting downhill and touching the paint every time he wanted throughout this game. And I guess I should say Wembanyama was on the floor during this, but he was not the screen defender.
He's
He's
not involved.
actually in
Yeah.
the he's involved. He's a low man in the corner down there.
All right. We'll get to the fourth clip here. It is not Met 92. It is Mexico City, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, correct.
And this is another one where he rejects the ball screen and explodes downhill. And this is another one of those gathers that I remember watching that I really, really loved. It's where he gathers it really, really low on that dribble there. And then again, the converging of the opponents around him in the paint. That low gather allows him to split those defender as the one slides over. Nothing real crazy, but again, it's kind of like that first or second clip that we watched where he stops on a dime and kind of fades a little bit here. This one's obviously a little bit longer, 6-7 feet. And I think this is going to have to be part of his game because he can get to the rim. And you mentioned maybe some of his inconsistencies finishing there. But again, the leveraging of the burst and explosion into a pull-up shot is always going to be there for him.
This is a great, all good points. And just to build off that, like, this is a great clip to see how strong, like functionally strong Scoot is, because this defender's right on top of him. And Scoot, as he's continuing to dribble downhill, comes to that jump stop and then just uses his upper body and strength to just create the separation. Like, that's not easy to just, without extending an arm or anything like that. His ability to use all of his power, his strength, his downhill momentum to legally, create that separation with his strength in the middle of a live ball drive. Again, like, just a very functional athlete, very functional creator. And I think the strength is what's really, like, you may not see it the first time you watch it, but if you watch it twice or slow it down, like, you'll see that he just absolutely, maybe doesn't quite ragdoll the defender, but he does displace him. And that's the thing that allows him to get off the shot. Once again, this is sort of like just context situation dependent. You'll notice it's a one possession game with 5 minutes left. This is another crunch time bucket. And they're also going to not just pick and roll, but guard pick and roll again here too. So, like, this is when Ignite was in tight games this season down the stretch and Scoot was healthy and able to play, they were going to a variety of pick and roll actions. 1-5, ram pick and roll, ghost screens with the guards, single high ghost screens with the guards, like all this kind of stuff. And as you also noted too, another screen rejection from Scoot on this possession as well.
I feel like he loves to do that. I also noticed something too, Brian, at the end. Let's watch him.
He does the Westbrook, the little too small. Yep.
Yeah. Normally when I think about those types of plays, I think about it like, backing down in the post. But to your point, he does show his strength in this play and bullies, quote unquote, his way to create enough space to get off that shot. So yeah, that's funny. It's a little overplayed, but we'll allow it.
I think Pat Bev is the one who gets credited with like kind of killing it, like it happened too much. He did it to LeBron, right? Didn't he do it to LeBron? Amazing.
Maybe.
Pat Bev's crazy.
He would do it to anyone, really.
Yeah, that's true. He would. Guys, the guy is an unbelievable. His career is pretty unbelievable. And that he's still like a rotation player. It speaks to his heart, his competitiveness. That's for sure. And who knows? That's maybe a guy that Scoot's gonna have to deal with at times. Next season. So get ready for that, Scoot. Maybe Steph Curry gives him some pointers. They were working out today, right, or yesterday at Stanford.
Correct. That's correct.
It's pretty cool. Hopefully, Steph was selling him on
Charlotte.
Places to eat, places to get real estate in Charlotte. That kind of stuff. So who knows?
All right, these last set of clips, and we'll go through these a little quicker, is the pick and roll passing. And obviously, he's going to have this in his game. And we've got a little bit of a semi-transition play here. The ball, I think, gets swung, and then it gets swung back to him. And then as you see here, empty side, for him to work with this screen. Now, we talk about rejecting screens a lot, and Scoot could reject this screen and try to go baseline because there is no help in that corner. But he decides to use it, and both defenders kind of show it's kind of a soft trap. It's not the greatest. And then there's the big man rolling to the basket with no help on the strong side. I actually thought the Memphis Hustle defender here, who's going to show over here in the paint, does a pretty good job of trying to do his best to contest. He kind of sees it happening before most people do. And in this position, Scoot realizes, okay, I've got to get the ball to the big. If I do it with my right hand, it's probably going to have to go over the top, or I'm going to have to step through and make the pass, which obviously is going to kill some time. So he's not going to loft it. He's going to make a left-handed pass. There is the guy that's coming over to try to defend. It's more just to kind of show a body here, and there is the assist. So, Brian, what do you like about this play?
Yeah, it's a pretty simple play, but I do sort of like the process here from Scoot. It starts with a little pistol action there from Jenkins, and then it flows to 5 out, which is something they did with this is Leonard Miller, who's the one that Scoot passes to, and then he passes back to Scoot, and then it turns into empty side pick and roll with Miller, who's another guy that's gonna go in the, if not in the lottery, then in the top 20 or whatever in the draft next week. I think it's also worth pointing out, like, this is a G League game, and Scoot's going up against NBA players here. This is Zaire Williams, who you'll remember from Stanford, who was a top 10 pick of Memphis a couple years ago. He's guarding the ball, and that's Jake LaRavia, the screen defender, who was a top 20 pick by Memphis in the draft last year. So, like, this is not going up against like nobody competition. Like, this is going up against guys that are legitimate, young prospects / NBA type talent. But yeah, I think I think one of the reasons why he probably doesn't try to like split the defenders with that pass is there's a lot of length there, like with LaRavia, who's a very like reactive and instinctive defender, and also of course Zaire Williams, who like hasn't quite stuck with the Grizz, but has still played a lot, for Memphis on the on the NBA level the last few years. So I kind of like him just taking what the defense, what is the best thing to do here, taking what the defense gets him, and like, yeah, he goes from having 2 on the ball, like he's done his job. He's got 2 on the ball, and he's going to get it to Leonard Miller. Is very versatile, for front court. I mean, Miller can create his own advantage. He's got a very good handle too, but getting Miller the ball in this pocket of space and letting him go for a pretty easy finish.
All right, clip number 2 is coming right after this. It's the same opponent, and it's also from the opposite side of the court, and I believe it is also an empty ball screen. So we're going to see here, this time the only difference is he's going towards the sideline, and he does use the screener. No help defenders over there. The one thing that we do notice as we play this clip, he loses control of the ball. And I'm not really sure who is in the weak side dunker spot here that's trying to come over, but that looked to be maybe his first option. Like initially.
I think it's Leonard Miller too.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure it's Miller.
It does get back to him, but not in the way that he probably wanted it. And so he kind of gets trapped in the corner over here. And if again, look at the time. We like to look at the time a lot. There's 4 seconds, 3 seconds left here. He's trapped. He's got to make a play. And I think what makes this play is the cutter from the top of the key here. And it's hard to tell the eyes in this situation, but I would assume that Scoot maybe looks off the cutter with his eyes, because the big man who is guarding his teammate down there on the block, just for a split second, goes after that cutter.
It's Kenneth Lofton Jr. That's who that is too.
There it is.
Captain America, Kenneth Lofton out there.
So that's what I saw. Again, it's hard to tell with the eyes and whether or not he used the eyes, but I would have to imagine that cutter helped him. But it was kind of a broken play, but he made something out of it.
Can you actually back up to when he's getting trapped?
Yeah.
This will work. Yeah, pause it there. First off, like, he takes the guard screen from Jenkins. He turns the corner. It looked like he was maybe trying to squeeze a pass into Miller in the opposite dunker spot. He ends up killing the advantage. But I think he does kind of get like a little bailed out on this play, because he ends up leaving his feet and still finds Miller. But just in this moment right here, I know it's end of the quarter. Once again, it's another end of quarter possession with with Scoot pick and roll and Scoot guard pick and roll to be specific. But look how many defenders. Like I know Memphis is trapping, but look how peeled in they are. Like look where the help is. Like everyone is on the opposite side of the lane basically. You've got City Sissoko and London Johnson space to the weak side. Memphis is sort of taking advantage of the situation here. And it does sort of seem like, as Lofton goes to Jenkins on the cut, you probably would have liked the other guard low man
Oh
defender
gosh,
to
yeah.
stay in. But I guess he thought that Scoot was going to try to skip it to City Sissoko, who's in the sort of like left slot at the top of the screen. And instead, Leonard Miller just ends up being the beneficiary. So like Miller does a nice job moving here to set this up and ends up getting a pretty easy finish off of what is some like not great sort of like backside rotations from the hustle that help bail Scoot out.
All right, clip number 3. We're switching up the opponent, Mexico City. There's a ball screen for Scoot, trying to get movement towards the paint. The big, I believe, in this one is in drop, backpedaling a little bit here. And we talked about the mid-range pull-up game for Scoot, so he could pull up for this 15 range. He kind of does a little hesitation in and out. And this one, he also leaves his feet, Brian, but I feel like he's leaving his feet because he knows what he's trying to do here. Because he gets under the basket a little bit, it's hard to make that shot. And that little nice wraparound pass to his big is very cool to see.
Room service, man. Good Lord. Just couldn't make it any easier for your teammate there.
And like I said, I'm thinking he's doing this to leave his feet. I don't think in his mind he's trying to shoot. I mean, maybe he's that crosses his mind for a little bit. But he's so far under the basket, the angle is just not right. So again, he has the option of pulling up here, but gets downhill, puts pressure on the rim, forces 2 guys to come over to him, and makes a little wraparound pass to his big.
Yeah, again, this is from 2 seasons ago. A little like kind of horns out set with Beauchamp popping out, and then it flows into pick and roll in the middle third pick and roll with Scoot. And yeah, like it starts in the drop, and then it kind of ends up being like a late switch, in terms of the coverage. But like you noted, Richie, like he could absolutely settle in for that elbow pull up jumper that he loves, and instead he decides to chew up the space. You see the athleticism; he's able to get downhill, turn the corner, not only just like force extra attention, but he gets the opposing 5 off his feet, which means not only like has he created an advantage or whatever, but like he's really compromised the defense, right? Like the rim protection is neutralized as soon as that happens. And this is stuff you see Scoot do a lot. Like he's so good at these little like final third of the floor, like lay down, drop off passes. And it maybe seems simple, but because his ability to pressure the rim, use that athleticism, his speed to constantly be pressuring the defense, looking to turn the corner when he doesn't settle for the mid range, like this is the fruit that it can produce, which is just a perfect drop off, lay down pass to his teammate for a finish right at the front of the rim.
All right, we'll play out this clip and get to the final clip for his passing. Let's see here. Final clip is going to be queued up in a late shot clock situation. There's something I literally just noticed this as I was preparing for the last second before you came in here. I'll let you look at it here in a second, but it's at the end of the play. But anyway, late shot clock situation for Scoot. They spread the floor for him, and another screen rejection as he gets a screen set here on the right side, but he decides to go right down the middle of the court, forces the Mexico City defenders to collapse, leaves his feet, hangs, but he's able to get enough energy to get that ball out to his teammate.
Just enough.
Just enough.
Like just enough.
Just enough juice. His momentum is obviously taking him towards the hoop.
For sure. Yeah, for sure.
And so this is, late in the shot clock. There's probably 4 seconds, it looks like, on the clock. So he's probably expecting this to be a wing 3. And again, it does take a little bit of time to get there, but it bounces right there. And he could have taken a 3. Yeah. Watch Scoot here, Brian. He's expecting his teammate to take a 3. He's like, come on, man. And then
I mean, but like Beauchamp makes this shot, but yeah, I mean, like it was sort of weird, like the way Beauchamp sort of approaches that. It's sort of like I don't know, it's like in baseball. Like, do you want to try to catch the pop up, or like let it? If you're an infielder, like do you catch the pop up, or do you let it like bounce in front of
Right.
you? You know, it's like a weird in between hop. And obviously, like you said, Scoot's in the air and he's throwing back again, across his body. So it makes some sense for this to not be like the best pass. It does not hit Beauchamp in his pocket for a clean catch and shoot. But again, you just like I love the way he collapses the defense on this. You can see once again he just gets every defender
Right.
into the lane. And Beauchamp's still able to score with a runner at the end of the clock, and not a lot of steam on the pass. Like I said, he's in the air, he's moving away from the passing outlet. But I would just say, like, this play and the lay down pass on the possession that we looked at before, and this kind of kick out, like they just passes like this, they highlight, they're not like super duper advanced reads, but they do highlight Scoot using his like special athletic traits in the handle to be a pressure point, right? And like what that creates by having one guy that you can just give the ball, whether it's for 7 seconds of the shot clock or it's the end of the shot clock, but like that, what that guy can create out of almost nothing, and just what it's just to say, like he creates basically two good shots for two good looking shots for Beauchamp on that possession. So I don't know. For me, that's what that possession really speaks to, is like this guy has the stuff to be a pressure point. And then look, I think Scooter's like a pretty good passer, to be clear. But even when he's not having to make read multiple lines of defense, just like what his speed, what his tempo, and what his handle, and obviously like with his ability just to like rise up and dunk on people at the rim too, like the things that does, it just creates really good looks for teammates, like kick out spot up possessions and drop off passes to guys the dunker spot or at the front of the rim.
Well, Brian, I really enjoyed this episode, this exercise. It was a lot of fun preparing for it. And when I was going through it, I didn't know what clips to pick because you sent me a boatload. So I'm probably missed some really good ones. But I think the ones that we highlighted today on this episode showed a little bit of everything. And obviously, there was no defensive clips shown, all pick and roll offensive stuff, and very positive signs for a potential number 2 overall pick. And you mentioned this earlier as we wrap here that, playing with LaMelo, there are going to be some concessions that each player might have to take. But I think I do feel comfortable after watching these pick and roll plays that you can use LaMelo as an off-ball player, like you have mentioned many, many times, but also feel comfortable that Scoot Henderson's going to create advantage after advantage after advantage when he runs through these different types of pick and roll sets. So that's what I will end on. Any kind of final thoughts here on this episode about Scoot as it relates to the pick and roll, or just generally speaking?
No, we'll just say, for people who tuned in and watched this, thank you for doing it. Hopefully we're going to do some more of these. Maybe even during the season with some of the Hornets, doing these types of like video breakdowns where we, have some time and to let things breathe and talk about things, and some video to accompany with it. So, however you listen to this, I appreciate it. And Richie, thank you for the production here too. This was fun.
Of course. Thanks again, guys, for tuning in to another episode. We appreciate your support. We do plan on having at least one more episode before the draft, and also a live draft show as well. We're hoping to get on a guest, but if not, we'll still be here. See you guys later.